So we've spent time on this call, but I need to hear one final remark from each person because it's very important. We'll start with Samad.
Okay, thank you, Afif. Just to recap, I again want to say, a big thanks to all the professionals on this call tonight. It's been kind of an engaging and a very eye-opening session. I just wanted to add, yes, thanks to Kenneth who spoke expansively on the issue of the BCP. It's always in your risk management framework that as businesses you should have that as a point of focus. It is very integral to your business. If where I have a branch, for example, is impacted, can my business succeed to the next level? Can I have access to the market? Can my customers have access to my services? Those are the questions as business people you have to ask in your risk assessment when you are doing the BCP. And let me say that one of the fastest way for them to cushion the effect of this partial closure, because it's not a total closure, is about one, maybe they could dip their hands in their slush fund. I know it's a decade long business, so it's not as if they just started today and the government is coming up a month later to say, oh, you this greenfield, now you are here, we want to make use of our road. I know for a fact a business well run should have a slush fund against such impacts like this. And they might have one or two, financial instruments, fixed deposit, treasury bills, promissory notes, government bonds, euro bonds that they can tap into just liquidate some of the reputational damage. It doesn't impact you so much as the narrative of what is happening on the media is very, very important, because if they do not and they leave the narrative to the federal government to say, they'll be on the receiving end. So now, just like Kenneth said, if you don't lose the mental hedge in cases where you even want to go down, even if you lose finances but you don't lose out mentally, you can still bounce back up. So it's very important for them as at this point to know that yes, they might lose some battles to win the major war. So it's not the end of the landmark ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samad. Thank you very much, Samad, for that. Adebayo, please, we need to also hear from you. Final remark.
All right. It's been enlightening. Thank you for the opportunity to learn from these guys here. Thank you to every speaker so far. Uh, for me, I believe one thing. In almost any part of the world, except you are in an extremely volatile environment, like a real war zone, businesses get shut down abruptly. I don't see anywhere you are running a business and government will say, hey, close down by tomorrow, even in the most extreme areas in this part of the world. So there's this thing we say hilariously on social media, like we all know what we are doing. So the thing is inherent in us. We take advantage of every single thing. We don't like doing the right things. And if you look at businesses that have shut down in the past, there are several factors that impacted that. But one of the most important factors is always land issue. Land issue. And the lawyer spoke today that you have to do your due diligence, because if you don't pay the cost of a good lawyer now, the bad lawyers will put you in trouble. You'll not be looking for good lawyers in the future. And at that time, it won't be just 2 or 3 staff members that will be in trouble. It will now be a lot of customers, a lot of shareholders, and so on. So what I have observed, dealing with business owners in this part of the world, is that we are not sincere people. That's a fact. See, government issues, we can speak about government problems from now till tomorrow. The time will not be enough. Government will continue to give us problems. Government don't solve problems that much. They give us problems. But as a business owner, you have to be ahead of government. You have to make sure that even when there is a problem tomorrow, you are not a problem. And government is very careful when they are dealing with you and they know that you've done every single thing you need to do. They are careful. But if government is dealing with you and they find out that out of 10 things, you've not done one, my goodness, that's one. They will use every trick in the book to make sure that you pay for it. So, and there's this example I usually use when I'm teaching people. I tell people that, see, doing the right things is good, but doing the right things the right way is better. For instance, if because we've been speaking since morning for a while now, and you are hungry, you want to go to your kitchen. You probably want to prepare your noodles, yeah, and you are preparing your noodles, and you put salt and sugar and all manner of things that were not supposed to be in the noodles. You are cooking, right? Emotionally, something is telling you that okay, your food will soon be ready. But by the time the food is done, you realize that you can't eat the food. So you're probably doing the right thing, but you are not doing that thing in the right way. So the onus lies on the leaders because there are many smart staffs in these organizations that know what the problem is, that can never solve the problem. But it is not on them. For me, leadership is decision making. So if you're not part of the leader, you can't make decisions. So the leaders have to be the one making decisions. And they have to make decisions that does not put their organizations in trouble. We like to take advantage of systems. See, behind closed doors, if I tell you the names of organizations that I know in that country called Nigeria and here that are not doing the right thing, you will be surprised. So when the things they've been doing catch up on them in the next 3 5 years, people will be all over the place shouting about federal government. We are not new to federal government tricks. We've been seeing this kind of techniques or strategies before independence, post-independence, during the military era, and now. It's not the same people we are dealing with. They wear military uniform today, they wear civilian uniform tomorrow. The same politicians. So we are not new to their tricks. But one bottom line is that government also wants money. They want taxes. So it is not in their own interest to shut down businesses. But if you don't do your things the right way, you will give them reason to shut you down. So I use my mic for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadibayo.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. So for my final remarks, for a business owner, please hire the right people. I keep buttressing on it. One person in a team, a wrong person in a team can destroy an entire business. Hire the right person. And when you hire the right person, what is your retention plan for such people? The system is gradually changing. Workplaces are gradually changing. Years ago, it was fully on site. You see businesses keying into flexible work arrangements, keying into trainings and development, keying into regular checks in, work culture, make it tailor it in such a way that a resourceful person would stay longer on the job. It's not about you filling your head count. Don't say because a company has a budget of 5 persons, you just randomly pick somebody from the street and say, okay, 5 people have already gotten you 5. No. When the HR person gets you the right person for the job, what is your retention plan? Pay them well, it's another thing. Don't be looking for cheap labor. Exactly. Don't look for cheap labor. Pay them well. Because if you want someone, a resourceful person to stay on the job, if your retention plan is 100%, trust me, the chances that your business will crumble, because every business definitely will have their storms, but regardless, that business is going to stand. So please, retention plan is very, very important for every single HR, and the leaders should always key into talent retention plans whenever proposals are being brought to their table. So that would be my final remark. Thank you so much.
I mean, I think the Impact Manager did a great thing to bring these great minds together. That's all I can say. But would shift that to the end, right? So, Kenneth, the final remark.
Well, I think the intelligent people, intelligent discussion, intelligent people, intelligent discussion. I don't need that. I think if you have anybody to go through this recordings, and just like I think it was Taida was speaking last, you know, you find out that you virtually have gotten a epistle of paid content that probably will be over a billionaire. My remarks are always kind of more lengthier. I just want to keep the time as much as possible. You know me now.
Right, right, right. Thank you for doing
Right,
that.
right, right. Thank you for
So,
doing that.
finally,
Finally,
Jocelyn, your
all
final
right.
remark.
Okay, so let me be round. I'll round up with this. Okay, so initially I spoke in relation to a fintech company because, like I said, there are so many reasons why a business I want to shut down. And when it comes to legal implications, the fact of each case determines the route that you would take. So I would like to speak on the landmark issue. Okay, yes, there was a compulsory acquisition of their land, and of course, they affected their businesses and all that. So when it comes to their rights and what they can do, how they can culture, because if you're acquiring a piece of land, um, you need to do your due diligence, right? On Thursday, I was in a real estate conference where even the chairman of Landmark and even their legal officer was there, like their head of legal was there, and they were talking about, although they didn't really touch much on the current issue that is affecting their business, right? So when go- it now depends when government acquires your land, right, because of overriding public interest. You know, the beginning is that we all have rights to own land in Nigeria, right? That's the constitution. But however, the government can acquire your land compulsorily if they want to use it for public interest purposes. But you are entitled to compensation. So one of the ways that they can it's not a total loss actually. Yes, government has acquired their land if it was properly acquired. If they actually have good title to the land, probably they got a certificate of occupancy from the government and the right, they can apply for compensation. So the law says that when there is a compulsory acquisition for public interest, you need to compensate them. But there's always an issue over whether compensation is adequate or not.
Mm-hmm.
So they have remedy. The remedy they can use is they can apply for compensation, but then they have to like engage professionals to help them with that. So and also they can also contest the acquisition if the proper procedure is not followed. Because what the law says is that the acquisition should be done in a lawful manner and for a prescribed purpose. So lawful manner has to be procedure. So if there is anything wrong with the procedure of such acquisition, it's something that can be challenged. They can actually challenge such. And we have plethora of cases where people have challenged acquisition, where people have claimed compensation and they have gotten compensation. But whether the compensation is adequate or not is another issue entirely because there have been arguments on um the measures on how compensation is being measured because compensation is measured according to what is written in the law statutorily. If the law says this is how compensation is supposed to be meted out, that is what the government officials will follow. And but then they don't really look at the investment that the business owners have actually made in the business. So they just issue compensation. So whether compensation is adequate is another issue. Then we look at the contractual when it comes to the contract between them and their customers. Like I said, what I said was that when something like this happens, if customer wants to suffer, no, it's not. They don't really suffer that much because you have to do everything to ensure you might not get money. You might not get your money almost immediately because of what is affecting their bill. But they must ensure that your money is paid. If you are a customer, let's say you have money with them, or let's say, but there's this doctrine that we call the doctrine of frustration in law. It means that when there is a contractual agreement and something unexpected happens, you know, the obligation under the contract can be discharged. Maybe something you did not plan for. And that's why we usually have this clause in the contract, the first major clause, where maybe there's a war, there's a government policy, earthquake, things like that happen. Just imagine, okay, what if it was not government that acquired the land? There was an earthquake happened in Nigeria and they lost their whole, that's the doctrine of frustration. So and there are rules that guide that. When they cannot implement their contract because of frustration, do you get your money back? the customers get their money back? Is, that's another aspect. So, and it also, what also is also important is what is in their terms of service. You subscribing to the service of a company, they have their terms of service. Do they have this clause, the first major clause? The first major clause will list out the items that they would consider as unexpected. Sometimes also list out the procedures that they would take to caution all these things. So, another aspect we want to also look at is consumer protection. Now, let's say that the reason why I say that customers, you might not get your money immediately, but you might not completely lose it. And that is why they have to ensure that they pay you your money. Because under the Companies and Allied Matters Act, right, if a company cannot pay its debt within 3 weeks, as low as 200,000 naira, let's say the creditor of the company is owing money and the company cannot pay its debt, as a creditor, you can file a petition for winding up. It means that this company cannot pay its debt, this company is bankrupt, let's wind the company up. And what happens when the company is about to be wound up or the winding up process? They sell off the company, and the asset of the company, the money they make from the asset of the company, they use to pay all. That's like kind of last resort kind of thing. So because they know the consequences of what can happen if they don't make sure that they treat their customers right, they want to treat the customers. So these are the rights that customers should have. You can file a petition for winding up if they don't pay you after you have demanded for your money. You can also report them to regulatory body like the um, um, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection. You file your complaint there, but before you file your complaint there, you must have engaged engage with your vendor. If they're not responding, then you file your complaint, and then they come into the whole situation. They mediate. Sometimes they provide solutions. Sometimes they involve industry regulators. So these are the things that. So there's a whole lot to look at, right?
Right.
So like I
Right.
said, the facts of the case will
Mm.
determine the step that you would take for that particular situation. So thank you very much.